I don't know if you saw this, but Elon Musk was on Joe Rogan again.
I'm for the 11th time or
No, I
something.
think it's his 5th or 6th time. But it got me thinking because I really want to get your honest take on that.
Okay, sure.
I haven't listened to it yet. I've been told by a few people that I have to listen to it.
Okay.
Because of his AI predictions or whatnot.
Okay.
But it's 3
I'm sure
hours.
they're dire. I'm sure they're dire.
It's 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Well, that's Joe Rogan on a Tuesday, isn't it? Yeah, I mean.
It got me thinking. Maybe the show isn't long enough.
No, our show is long enough. Our show is definitely long enough.
Maybe our listeners want 2 more hours. 2 hours and 20 minutes more of Robert and Joe.
Yeah, I think that's not true. I think the minute we start looking to Rogan and Musk as templates and or aspirational figures, we've lost the room. We've lost the locker room.
Well, we still, he was made famous by smoking the joint. I think the first episode he was on.
Well, I'll happily smoke a spliff here. I mean, if you want me to smoke a joint, I'll be happy to do that.
No, is the point is we take some kind of substance where we forget how long the show is actually going for.
Well, we used to do the drunk show. Remember, we did the drunk show.
We didn't really. I mean, we talked about it. I don't know if we ever did it. Did we do
it? There was the one in Australia. We were both pretty.
Oh, that was a live show. That was the live show. That
right. There was a lot of wine.
Not that they're all not live, but this was like we were together.
Yeah,
live. Okay, well, give it some thought. Let's do this. You can smoke weed. I'll do a regular show. We'll see what happens.
There you go. We'll call it high and mighty.
And now for your listening pleasure, here's Pulizzi and Rose, covering the week of media, marketing, and digital content news. Take it away, boys.
Well, hello, friends. Welcome to This Old Marketing, proudly brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. And I'm Robert Rose. And with me, as usual, is my pal, my colleague, and a guy who's super happy that the McRib is back in town, Mr. Joe Pulizzi. Did you see?
I actually like McRib,
I know you like a McRib.
Although I haven't had one. The last time it came out, I didn't have one. But I do keep track of it because historically, I mean, it's like 70% probability. When the McRib comes out, it signals that Bitcoin is going to go higher.
There you go. There
is a correlation. There's an article out there that talks about this correlation.
That's right.
I'm like, when's the McRib coming out? I want to go on a Bitcoin run.
That's right. The McRib is coming out and the Epstein files are coming out. There you go.
Do you eat? Yeah, who knows about that
correlation? Causation, maybe causation. Really.
Do you like a McRib? Are you a McRib?
I'm a once in a great while. So I like the fact that it's not available because the answer is yes. I like the idea of the McRib. Having eaten the McRib, I'm never really a happy camper after that. After that.
All right, you don't have to say anymore.
It doesn't wear well. Let's put it that way.
Let's not talk about Robert's digestive.
That's right. There you go. It's probably a good idea.
It's probably good. Have you had a good week?
I've had a great week. Yes, I traveled. Anything? Yeah, I traveled. I actually traveled safely, which in these days and ages,
delays.
Traveling elegantly, no delays or anything. So I had that going for me, which was nice. The cross-country flights seem to be fine, by the way. It's mostly the commuter flights that seem to be really struggling. And for some weird reason, like Nashville, like everybody that I know that is either going in or out of Nashville or Orlando, which, Orlando I get, right? Because Orlando, well, let's just be honest, is Florida. So there's that. But there's you
hate Florida.
I do. I really do. And Orlando particularly, right? There's my hatred for Florida. And then there's sort of my...
Is that where you vehemently hate Orlando? Like you don't like Florida, but it all is sort of funnels around Orlando.
It's not all contained within Orlando, because there are actually pieces of Miami that are kind of cool. And of course, the Keys are amazing, right? So there's that.
The Keys are.
I don't consider the Keys right. That's exactly right. Oh. In any event, I had elegant travel. I had a great workshop with my client. literally, I posted this on Instagram. I'm in the middle of my workshop, and it's in one of those large conference rooms that actually looks out over, the whole campus of this large pharmaceutical company. I can tell you who it is. It's Bristol Myers Squibb. So I was at Bristol Myers Squibb, huge campus in Princeton, New Jersey, and looking out over this beautiful campus, and it starts to rain, and I'm doing my presentation and doing my workshop. And then the rain starts to break, the sunshine starts to come out behind the clouds. And just as I go, and content strategy is the most important part of your business strategy. Right then, this giant rainbow appears over the the whole parking lot. And I got a photo of it and I posted it to Instagram. It was perfect timing. So
what caused what? Like, did you saying
that? Oh, I'm
cause
sure.
The rainbow?
No, God knows. She knows. She knows. God knows. Yeah, she knows. She's got my back. Yeah.
But so many fewer companies are doing traditional content strategy.
I know.
Sort of winging it now.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of winging it.
ChatGPTing their way to marketing strategy.
Yeah. Well,
it's funny. I talked to some friends the other day, friends of both of ours actually, about this, and they're doing some research and assessments and whatever. They found that a lot of people are skipping the traditional building block steps of creating a content marketing strategy because they're just going right to give me the tactics.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's been the case for 25 years, right?
Forever. So, but I thought it was getting better, but it's not. It's getting worse.
It's not. But
this show is helping. This show is helping.
I don't know how much we're helping, but kudos to this team in at Bristol Myers Squibb, because they are crushing it, and they understand. They're a new team that's been formed at a comms team that has been formed to really focus on content marketing and thought leadership and all of that.
Is it?
And they're doing the work. They're absolutely doing the work.
I don't know how much you can say, but is there an AI team? Is the AI team within the content team?
There's not an AI team. There is, like just about in every company I'm visiting with these days, there is a pressure from senior leadership to get AI, to get quote unquote good at AI. And I made fun a little bit because they have brought in one of the, let's just say, I won't say the name here, one of the big 5 consulting firms to sort of help.
Probably the one that you hate the most.
How to get good at AI. It might rhyme with papenture.
Yeah.
And so, they're bringing those folks in to teach them. And I'm like, and I go to my client afterwards and I go, how do I get me some of that papenture money for talking about AI with you guys? Like, because they're spending a gajillion dollars on prompt engineering and all the stupid stuff. But yeah, no, they're a smart team. They're a smart team. But there's a pressure there to get good at AI. And yes, they do have a task force, and they do have the whole, like many companies, they have the whole sort of, committee that's sort of helping them on the technology side and on the, guardrail side, the safety side, all that kind of stuff.
It's just, I was just interested. And by the way, Papenture and companies like Papenture they're very good at following these trends. I mean, we saw it like when content marketing really started to take off. All of a sudden, they were going in and doing assessments and analysis.
I'm not going to get myself into trouble.
No, I can say whatever I want.
Yeah, of course. Well, I would say whatever I want too, except I would get myself.
Here's my field of F's.
Yeah,
I do not care. Nobody. Right. Anyways, So thanks for asking. I had a good week.
You're welcome.
So what I was hopeful for, my quick football thing. I was really hopeful that this would be the week that I'd see Shedeur Sanders play quarterback. It doesn't, or that we would see everyone in the management ranks get fired at the Cleveland Browns. It's not happening.
No.
But it happened for the Giants.
It did. Daboll is out. And here's the thing. I like Brian Daboll. I think he made some really bad choices this year. And I'm not sure what really motivated those choices, especially when he, in terms of his quarterback and the running back and all that kind of stuff. But I liked him as a coach. And so do you think Belichick is going to come in, or do you think it's Mike McCarthy, or who do you think is coming in as the Giants coach?
Into the Giants?
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be Belichick. I think Belichick is done with the pros. I've been wrong before, but
I would like to see it be Belichick. I think it would be great.
Belichick in New York seems fitting for some reason.
Yeah,
It?
of course.
Like
yeah,
Belichick in North Carolina makes no sense.
makes no sense. Right. Exactly.
It's like, what are you doing? It's like fish out of water. You don't fit in there. I've been to North Carolina a lot. He sticks out way too much. He doesn't fit in.
Yeah.
New York definitely fits in, especially his always constipated.
I think the New York fans would be I think the New York fans would love that.
Yeah, I think. Well, it would make that division more interesting because Lord knows it's not coming from the Cowboys. Jeez. Anyways,
scene.
What do we have to talk about?
We've got a good show. We have got a good show. We're going to talk. We're going to open up with our big news, which is everybody seems to think that the top 10 companies, that includes Oracle and Meta and Google, and how much of that revenue is actually just bullshit. We're going to talk about the fact that up to 10% of Meta's revenue may came from scam ads. And Michael Burry, the one made famous in The Big Short, he says, well, the tech darlings have some, let's call it problems. Then we'll talk about the Coke ad because it's getting yet more attention than we talked to it last week. So we'll talk about the continuing story of that. Then after we pay some bills, we'll get to Disney doubling down on live events. And if we have time, we'll talk about Denmark banning social media for those that are 15 and under. We'll get to our winners and losers. I will talk about the loser, I guess, although with a twist here, of the Farmer's Almanac. The Farmer's Almanac, published since 1818, is actually going away. Ooh. And Joe will talk about a marketing winner that is Netflix. Something, I guess, what they're doing with K-pop Demon Hunters, which we talked a little bit about last week, 2 weeks ago, I think. And then we'll get to our Rants and Raves, where I will have some commentary on basically Microsoft and their content marketing strategy on AI and how they're talking about it. And Joe will have some commentary on Chatbot Jesus, which I love. Chatbot Jesus.
By the way, the article headline got me right away. I'm like, I got to read about Chatbot Jesus.
Yeah, Chatbot Jesus. I'm loving it.
Right up my alley, Chatbot Jesus.
So it's going to be a chock-a-block. One of our chock-a-block shows for all of that.
All
right. Well, let's jump in. Let's jump in, and we'll start with Meta's revenue challenges, which made the news this week, which is coming to us courtesy of Reuters. The headline here: Meta is earning a fortune on a deluge of fraudulent ads, documents show. Meta projected 10% of its 2024 revenue would come from ads for scams and banned goods, documents seen by Reuters show. And the social media giant internally estimates that its platforms show users 15 billion scam ads a day. Among its responses to suspected rogue marketers, charging them a premium, which, oh my God, that's just so good. I won't even talk about that. And issuing reports on the scammiest of scammers. There's just so much goodness in that. Anyway, basically, Meta internally projected late last year that it would earn about 10% of its overall annual revenue, or $16 billion, from running advertising for scams and banned goods, internal company documents show. We will accompany that with another article that we can sort of talk about, which is about Michael Burry, the analyst, investor, who was made famous, of course, in The Big Short, played by Christian Bale.
Good performance.
Excellent. Great performance.
Great movie.
And basically, he is accusing the tech giants and most of the tech giants by inflating profits by stretching asset lifespans. Famed investor Michael Burry, it says, has sounded a new alarm targeting big tech's accounting practices. Burry, who had famously predicted the 2008 financial crisis, said that major cloud and AI infrastructure companies are artificially inflating profits by extending the useful life of their assets. And he goes on. And basically, the article here, which is a little old at this point, says last week Burry's Scion Asset Management took bearish positions in AI darlings NVIDIA and Palantir. By the way, encouraging quite the rant from Palantir CEO on CNBC.
Oh my God, he is very sensitive.
He's a weird
Palantir
dude.
CEO. Oh yeah,
weird.
Don't
dude.
say anything bad about me.
Yeah, but then today, literally breaking news as we record this, Burry has basically shut down Scion investing, Scion Asset.
And what was it? We were talking about it before the show. So shut it down because there's basically no value.
That's what he's saying. He's basically saying in his goodbye letter, it says something to the effect of the market does not reflect where I think it is, basically. So he's shutting the whole thing down. So,
right.
So what do you make of all of this? I mean, I have definitely take from an advertising and marketing perspective.
Yeah. I want to just talk about Meta first.
Sure.
And then let's talk about the bubble, because it's super interesting to me,
Yeah.
sort of from a stock market perspective as well.
Yeah.
But if we look at Meta, so this article comes out and says that 10% plus of their revenue is illegitimate, let's say. And so that's what they're projecting. We don't even know how bad it could really be. And
well,
so
right.
They could be nice about it and say, oh, it's only 10, whatever. So 10%. And then I'm like, it just seems to me, I was just thinking, how many times has Meta been in a position where they're just doing the wrong things? Like something just, so I did a little research.
Yeah.
Because I care about our listeners.
Okay.
Just over the years, just touching in, you got the 2016 election interference that we know about.
Yeah.
Cambridge Analytica. So 2016 election.
Yeah.
Cambridge Analytica was 2018.
Yeah.
You've got the Myanmar genocide stuff that happened in 18.
Oh my God.
That could be the worst, but we're not going to. And then you've got all these ad fraud, ad account mistakes.
Yeah.
You got misrepresentation of measurement. I mean, this is just regular,
right? It's just
regular things.
It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday for Mark. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I don't know if it's going to happen because we don't know what truth we're going to go by in 10 years. But I've got to think that Meta will go down in history as one of the least ethical companies that's ever been created, where they're only thinking growth. It's almost like growth at all cost.
Sure. Yeah. 100%.
And the challenge is they keep getting rewarded for it, because even though they're with the Michael Burry thing, and we'll talk about that, they take a little bit of a hit from the stock market and people shorten them, but they are still on an amazing tear. One of the best performing companies ever in history. But the other concern is, at the same point, if you put them, it's hard to put Meta in the same category of an AI bubble with NVIDIA and with Amazon and with Google and with some of these other companies, because Meta is really, except for this Oculus glasses thing that they have over there, which is very small, it's almost all advertising. Everything is built on advertising and sponsorship. That's their entire revenue model.
Sure, of course.
And I think that in that case, because they're not diversified at all, it leads to even more of this type of behavior, because they're really trying to protect that, because they've got nothing else.
Yeah.
So I don't think anything is going to change.
Yeah.
I think we're just talking about it because this is a show. We talk about marketing news. Here's some marketing news. Meta's in trouble again. And we're going to talk about it in another 9 months and another 9 months. And it's just going to be the case forever.
That's right. That's right. It's what we haven't even touched on. And so the first thing I saw when I read this headline, certainly about Meta, talking about Meta, was, it brought up the scene from Casablanca. I'm shocked there's gambling going on in the casino, right? Because for literally 20 years, as digital ads have, been around, we have, as marketers, as advertisers, we have accepted the high percentage of fraud, waste, and abuse. I mean, and I've ranted about it on this show before, where, the IAB, Internet Advertising Bureau, IAB, came out years ago and basically said 70% viewability based on duplication, frauds, ads, and bots, basically. Yep. 70% viewability is as good as it's ever going to get. And marketers went, okay, oh, fine, meh, okay, good. That's as good. It's a 30% tax. Basically, it's a 30% tax on your ad spend. And that's as good as it's going to get, because shrug your shoulders. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I mean, big hat tip, by the way, out there to Dr. Augustine Fu, F-O-U. If you want to go follow him on LinkedIn and his blog, he's been talking about this for, I don't know, at least 15 years. I've followed him for at least 15 years. And this is all he talks about, is the level of fraud. Now, the interesting thing here is that as I dug a little bit into the story, which makes it even more insidious, is that what they're talking about in the 10% of Meta's revenue comes from scam ads is these are scam products. In other words, these are scam. It's not the ads and bots and viewability problem. It's actually the fact that it's scammy products that they're putting in, which is infinitely controllable by Meta. 100% infinitely controllable. It would make it harder to place ads. You would have to prove, your thing, and it would have to, all of the things that you have to do, by the way, if you're going to run on broadcast television or you're going to run on, anything that's governed by the FCC and all of that you don't have to do obviously on online. So it makes it doubly worse because 10% of Meta's revenue is coming from ads that are advertising scammy things, but then they're just charging more for that. So it's just a premium that you have to pay, which means it's probably getting even more play along with the bots and the automations and all of the fraudulent ads that are out there. So it could be as much as 20, 30, 40% of Meta's advertising revenue comes from just full on fraudulent stuff, right? Whether it's automation, bots, or the fact that it's scammy people paying a premium, which just makes me, giggle almost because of what you have to believe about what Meta's, ethics are here. And it's just crazy.
Well, and yeah, as we said, it's growth at all costs. There's no way that's stopping the scammy train. So they're just gonna. Do you need to take? I know you got a very important phone call. Do you need to take this call? Do you want to totally stop the show because your needs and your phone calls?
I forgot to turn off my ringer. Oh, relax. Take a relax. I forgot to turn off my ringer of my stupid phone.
Oh, you forgot.
I forgot.
That's fine. I'm not going to talk.
I was trying. Here's the thing. I was responding to a very important person's LinkedIn post just before we came on air. And I forgot to switch off all my noise-making devices.
I'm sure. Yeah, I can't believe you just deflected that way. But I want to talk. Let's talk about the Michael Burry thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
that was, by the way, Michael Burry calling me. So
Michael
just so
Burry,
you know.
Yeah. Hello, hello. Is this Robert the Rose? Short Palantir. Now. So I like. I'm interested in the whole Michael Burry thing because it's been all over my feed the past few days.
Mine too.
Everybody's taking it very seriously because for those that don't know, if you've read the book, Michael Lewis book on The Big Short, and then the movie, which was fantastic, he called the 2008 Great Recession for the mortgage crisis. He called that, he shorted it and made billions of dollars. But it's a big but. He was about 2 years. Like there was a real struggle in that movie and in the book because he was so over leveraged and shorted, and he was paying for it for a long time. And then finally it happened. So, but a lot of people are saying, hey, is this thing that's going on right now with AI, is this similar to what we saw with the .com boom?
Yeah.
And my take, and I think you said you agreed, but I want to get your take with it, is that we probably are 2 years early into the AI bubble, because if the things that I'm looking at here, and I just was trying to get some ideas of, okay, so if we go back to where valuations were crazy back in the .com peak, it's that Cisco traded at over 120 times forward earnings. Yep. You remember JDS Uniphase, over 200 times sales.
Yep.
There were not a lot of revenues. But at this time, if you look at the leaders in AI, or the Mag 10, if you will, NVIDIA's at 35 times forward PE. I mean, expensive, but not irrationally expensive. Microsoft 32, a little bit too much, not irrationally. Alphabet 22, Meta, we just talked about 22, Broadcom 28. And CapEx for AI has not peaked yet. It's still accelerating. So you're still seeing that. Well,
bing. That's, you've just hit on the thing, right? That's, yeah.
So there's still, it to me, I believe that we might get to a point where there is a bubble that would and it would be a concern.
Sure.
But it looks like there's solid foundation. There is money in this market. There's plenty of money right now for everyone. Valuations aren't getting completely out of hand. This thing might run for another 2 years. Like if you got out of the market right now, you might miss 2 of the best years. I'm, by the way, not a financial prediction show.
Sure.
What do you think?
I think both things can be true, is what I think. I do think it's so. you've hit on, so all of the major AI CEOs are making the rounds now, doing their confidence tour, I call it. You know, you've got the CEO of NVIDIA, you've got Satya Nadella, you've got, I can't remember who else was out. When they're doing talks now, they're like, hey, everybody just chill out. There's revenue here. It's not the dot-com boom. There's real revenue. There's real revenue. We've got real revenue. By the way, we've got revenue.
Sam Altman is probably
Sam Altman's doing it. Everybody's doing it, basically trying to calm everybody down that there's real revenue being generated here. The problem is, and you hit it, which is, how much are expenses outpacing the revenue, right? Because, you know, I mean, it seems like every Tuesday now we get a press release from OpenAI saying basically OpenAI has agreed to invest $100 million in OpenAI, which is going to invest back into the data center of OpenAI, and OpenAI's revenue.
And that's what Michael's talking about.
Exactly.
Michael Burry's talking about. Yeah.
It's the money that's just, it's narrative money that's getting passed around and passed around and passed around. And so at some point you go, there really isn't any money there. And so at some point bills are going to come due, either for the construction of all of this, you know, these data centers, compute, electricity, all the things that are driving the expenses way up in order to reach. And that's the thing that you can see Sam Altman really struggling with. You know, when he comes out and basically says, we have to go public in order to be able to raise enough money to cover the expenses that we have in order to build the infrastructure that warrants the valuation that we have. It's like, you can see that, right? In other words, they have to get to a certain point in order to justify this valuation. And the question is, what is the expense in order to get there? You know, the classic thing in Startupville, by the way, when you get invested by a venture capital company, right? So a great example of this was Marketo, right? When Marketo sort of had its you know, coming out party, and Marketo, the investment in it basically said, in order to justify the $200 or $400 million that they got in venture funds, they would ultimately have to generate profits of X, revenue of Y, that were just like, there's no way a silly little enterprise MarTech company is going to pay off those
investments at a proper valuation.
Exactly.
And everybody's happy.
What ends up happening is that at some point they take a bath. And so the question is, when it comes time, and I think 2 years is appropriate time horizon here, when it comes time for all these companies to actually get I mean, I bring it up all the time. When you and I were standing in that conference and you said, you know, I said, oh, New York Times is actually failing. And you're like, no, my New York Times is actually just right sizing. Right. And so when the New York Times right sized, they took a bath and they sort of got reevaluated for the value of that company. That is 100% coming. That's 100% coming for the OpenAIs and the NVIDIAs and all of that, like what they're really worth. It's coming. I think it's coming for Tesla too, although, you know, you have Tesla as a meme stock at this point. So,
and we don't know what business Tesla's in right now.
Exactly. So that is coming. The question is, how fast does that air leave the balloon? Because as I think Galloway said this very well on his podcast, where he talked about the idea of saying, hey, if this happens to a few companies and nobody panics, then it's going to happen to a few companies and we'll see a few companies go under. He said, if it happens with banks and that sort of thing, where everybody panics and it sort of trickles down into the rest of the economy, which is a real risk, then you could see something like what happened with the dot-com boom and it affecting jobs and the economy and interest rates and all of that.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, this is not a financial show.
Sure, of course not.
But we don't know how much private credit is out there. Like that's the thing where
it's a
lot more than I think people. And we've seen some of these failures recently where it's made the markets a little bit skittish, but we don't know if there's a contagion there. If there might be a there. And if so, you're right. This could get really.
I think that's funky. Exactly why you're seeing Altman really change the structure, you know, put pressure on changing the revenue and the operating model of the company. They got to go to the public markets to get their money. I think they're literally running out of people to give them money. I think.
But what's interesting, and I don't. We're getting way off in the deep end here, but what I don't understand is with Microsoft even talking about some of their AI investments and their data center investments, and they're going out for loans against those. They have so much cash. So instead of they're not using the cash,
Sure.
they're going out for loans instead of using their cash on hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I guess I guess that makes sense. If you think you need that cash, if some calamity might happen and you need to protect yourself, but
well, there's that, and then there's the you can't pay employees with loans, right? I mean, you're you know what I mean, like money you owe, but you can actually, it's other people's money that you can tie up and you can slow pay it, and there's a whole thing going on under the covers here. By the way, just even at the micro level, and I was going to cover it, I think 2 weeks ago on the show, actually. There's a thing going on right now with advertisers and media companies and media buys that payments have become much, it's really hurting mid-market media agencies, where they're having to cover the clients that are paying for advertising up front. You have to pay that money, but then you have to get it from your client. And there's a slow pay that's happening right now. That's really causing a lot of agencies a lot of heartache. And so it's just really interesting how all this works. And I think it's very hard to predict when, but there's a when coming for sure.
It's gonna be super interesting to see what happens. And everybody just stay calm.
Yeah. And speaking of which, we should probably take the time to pay some of our bills.
With this wonderful, by the way, and I said this to you, we're getting really good reviews.
People do like it. I'm glad people like it. This was a little bit of a going out on the limb for me, but I'm glad people dig it.
You're stretching yourself creatively with AI.
There you go.
Who knew? There you go.
Yeah.
I don't code, baby, but I sure as hell convert. Started with a pod test and a 4-track hum. No funding, no filters, just rhythm and rum. They said, Daboll, stay true, don't go selling your soul. But truth don't fund that conversion goal. I'm just paying the bills with a drip campaign and a voice that chills. If you hear HubSpot while I bat my eyes, that's not betrayal, sugar, it's enterprise. Yeah, I'm paying the bills with a branded feed and some back-end thrills. So if I sell dreams on a subdomain, just remember, darling, it's the uptime game. This ain't code, it's performance art with a branded plugin and a counterfeit heart. They said don't scale too fast, what a bore, baby, I scale with jazz and a metaphor. Still paying the bills, got a syndication deal and some zero frills. If I break your heart with a CTA, just click accept and scroll away.
Being a know-it-all used to be considered a bad thing, but in business, it's everything. Because right now, most businesses only use 20% of their data, unless you have HubSpot, where data that's buried in emails, call logs, and meeting notes, well, they become insights that help you grow your business. Because when you know more, you grow more. You see, being a know-it-all isn't so bad. Visit HubSpot.com today to learn more. All Are you looking for a podcast that goes against the grain? Then you're going to love Marketing Against the Grain, hosted by Kip Bodnar and Kieran Flanagan, brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network. If you want to know what's happening now in marketing, what's ahead, and how you can lead the way, this is the podcast for you. These two marketing experts share their marketing expertise unfiltered in the details, the truth, and like nobody tells it to you. You can find Marketing Against the Grain wherever you find your favorite pods.
Still paying the bills, got a syndication deal and some zero frills. If I break your heart with a CTA, just click accept and scroll away. I don't need love. I've got a newsletter.
Oh, there you go. All right. Yeah. I don't need love. I've got a newsletter, my friend.
I love that ending. I love that. That did you come up with that yourself?
I don't need love. I need a newsletter.
Yeah,
100%. Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
That was going to be the opening line. And then I was like, nah, I'm going to make it the closing line. So,
and I've been using that line with my wife, and she doesn't.
How's that going for you?
It's like, baby, all I need is my newsletter.
That's right.
That's it. And she's like, you're not sleeping in this bed tonight.
You got 99 problems and a newsletter ain't one.
All right. Where are we going with this show?
Okay. Well, let's go with the Coke ad. This is coming courtesy of the Hollywood Reporter. The man who created the AI holiday Coke ad gets with his PR agent. Sorry. Anyway, that's not the headline. That's what really happened. But man who created AI holiday Coke ad says it took more creativity. Is more than you realized. It's more creativity.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It's hard to do this. It's not fair.
This year's Coca-Cola's AI ad drop was supposed to be different. The article opens up different than last year's bashing, what with smoother tech. That totally sounds like ChatGPT. Anyway, different from last year's controversy, what with more consumer acceptance, the critics, producers hoped might be subdued. So much for that. Several days after the animated Holidays Are Coming spot debuted, the backlash among the creative class seems to be as strong as well when Coke released its AI Holidays Are Coming spot last year. The Evil and Good Wife creator Robert King posted on X that the animal-centric animation worked better as Zootopia and suggested Disney might want to think about suing Coke in addition to Midjourney. Unlikely. And so the article goes on to talk about how basically everybody hates it. And then, of course, it has the requisite, embedded video of the actual ad itself. I have heard that it was because I would love to get your take on this, but I'll just quickly say, I've heard that it was 70,000 prompts to get to this, to get to what they came up with. And there are problems in it for sure. That I'm well aware because I do some of this, obviously, for the ads that we do. And the interesting thing to me is I can see why the creators might go, might be a little like, it might be a little butthurt about why they want to say, hey, it takes more work than it really, than it looks like, because it is. It's a lot of work to do this. And then there was all the backlash, and there's the problems that we can talk about. There's Santa's fingers, which have issues. There are the trucks that are never the same truck twice. There are the people the animals that are the same animals twice. It's like, it's really got issues. But somebody pointed out to me on LinkedIn and basically said, hey, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because look at it through the eyes of a child, and the eyes of a child will see this as for what it is. And I'm like, I don't know. But then again, I think it may only be because Coca-Cola is trolling. I think they're basically want us to talk more about the ad than basically what the ad value is itself. In other words, they're sort of letting it, sort of kind of doing what we do with our commercials, right? Saying basically, hey, don't take this so seriously. This is us playing with AI, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm a little torn on it. What do you think?
Well, I think that Coca-Cola is getting so much more out of this ad.
Of course. Exactly. This is my
and
point.
I think they never even have to run the ad.
Right.
Because so from a marketing standpoint, it's fantastic if you believe that any kind of publicity is good publicity, which in this case, I think it is. And the other thing is, to your point about look at it from the eyes of a child, they're trying to sell a sugary addiction to small children.
Right.
And if they've got animals with big eyes and Santa with weird hands or whatever, and it's going to work just fine. If that's what we're in this stage, and we've been in this stage before when we went to different type, Pixar heard a lot of this too, when they went from traditional animation to Pixar animation. Of course,
yeah.
Where this is just another transition of technology that we're going to hear about in 3 years. This is going to seem like a silly conversation, in my opinion, because this is just another way that we're leveraging the human mind, creativity, if you will. A lot of people don't like that. You can, but this is where we're going from. If the goal is ultimately efficiency, which for most of these companies it is, Coca-Cola more than anything else values efficiency, because efficiency gets them, makes their investors happy, because it equals really good stock performance and stock prices, and everybody gets paid.
Yeah,
this is all about being more efficient, and so you're going to
see more. I don't think that's true. I don't think this is, it is certainly ultimately in the end something that will, I don't know that it's more efficient, by the way. It may or may not be more efficient.
Well, you're on the road. It's efficient for Coca-Cola because there's
well, it depends on what you're willing to put up with. So the same level of efficiency could have been had by simply, drawing stick figures on a pad of paper and animating stick figures on a yellow pad, right? You can get efficiency in a lot of different ways but of course all of that gets balanced against the brand value, right? So the part where I struggle with this is that I get it if what they're doing, if their goal ultimately is to say, hey, listen, not dissimilar from what we say when we're doing AI, right? Like we're at a level where it's like, it's ridiculous and it's fun and it's silly and they're ads. And so enjoy, right? Because they were relatively straightforward and easy to come up with. And we're basically kind of winking at the camera and saying, and it works for our brand, for you and me, right? It works for this old marketing brand to do that. For Coca-Cola coming out and basically saying, hey, we're just screwing around here and we did an ad and here you go. And it's our brand, our Christmas ad for Christmas. I don't, and everybody's going to point out the flaws and why it's AI and all that kind of stuff. And they go, yes, that's our secret goal here, is we just want you to talk about it. To me, that doesn't align with the brand value of Coca-Cola. It just, it strikes me as odd. Let's not forget their tagline for 40 years was the real thing. And so I can see it's the acceptance of imperfection here, which for us, with the wink of the camera that we're doing, the acceptance of imperfection, actually we're leaning into that to say, look how silly and ridiculous this is. And they're basically saying it's more efficient to do this. And so at some point we have to cut off the 70,000 prompts because we just can't do anymore, because then it's not as efficient anymore. And so we have to accept the imperfections for where the technology is at the moment. And I go, that's where I struggle with this. I struggle with this because they don't have to accept the imperfections. They can make this great if they chose to. They chose not to. And that choice is really, I struggle with that choice.
I don't know if that's, you could also look at it, the fact that, so they said that there's 20 people that worked on this. There's 21 people. There's 20 human beings and one AI. 21 people. I know I'm stretching that a little, but 21 entities. 20 have a heart and
well, no, 20 people in a tool is basically what it was. It's 20 people in to your point, right? To your point, it's a technology. It's not an additional resource. It's just a tool that 20 people utilized to create all these prompts and keep prompting and prompting and prompting and prompting until you get something that you can use. And you can, as someone who, again, does this, I can see the edits.
Yeah.
Like I can see why they edited it at a certain point, because you can go, that's where you're going to see the imperfection. So they like edit it quickly.
But almost nobody else will. 99% of people won't see
No, the inside baseball people are the only ones that are going to point out that Santa's fingers are weird, or the fact that the truck runs over a family when it goes through the village. If you blink, you miss it. But there's a truck basically hits a family so when it's running through the thing. Then the fact that the rabbits are different, and the fact that the 4-wheel truck turns into a 22-wheel truck that turns into an 18-wheel truck that turns into a 6-wheel truck that only people like us are going to notice that. Like the kids are not, they're, the comment on LinkedIn is right. We're not going to know, the kids are not going to notice that. The general consumer is not going to notice that. They're just going to see sort of my biggest problem with the ad is the eyes, right? It's doing that AI thing with the eyes, that sort of Polar Express thing with the lifeless eyes, that I look at those characters, even as cute as they are, and I don't care about them. I don't care that they're just lifeless. It's just that weird uncanny valley thing with cute animals that AI does to those things and makes them sort of like, I don't care about them, and I don't care about them as characters. So that to me is the biggest problem. It's not the mistakes, I guess.
I think the thing, just to wrap this up, the thing that I have the issue with is how some people that I'm seeing on social are like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this. This is like, come on. Like,
right. I agree with that.
They're doing it. And you know what?
Of course they're doing
90% of companies out there, they're experimenting, maybe not in this public a way, but they're all trying it. They're all experimenting. They're all trying to figure out what makes the most sense for their business. Nobody knows. Nobody can control this. No, everybody's trying to figure out what their plan's going to be, how much experimentation is the right experimentation. I think we need to stand back and say, all right, okay. Not the greatest ad in the world. I guess you could be subjective and judge the ad, but I don't think we can say, oh, they're using the technology the wrong or anything like that. You can't do that at this point. I think it's unfair to do that.
I don't disagree. I guess what I would prefer them to do is, because the brand to this date, in the last couple of years to this date, in many ways, the Christmas holiday themed ads from Coca-Cola are something that they seemed to care about. In other words, they seem to really want to lean in on as a cultural moment. And that's, by the way, the history of Coca-Cola, is to lean in and create these cultural, heartwarming moments, pure pop culture moments. Santa Claus became Santa Claus in many regards during Coca-Cola's, advertising using Santa Claus. And so they seem to care about that for years and years and years. And to me, coming out with this and not coming out with something like, hey, here's, not this literal, but almost this literal, where it's like, here's our real ad, and then here's our fun experiment with AI. Like here's our fun experiment that you can laugh at, and it's kind of, it's there, and it's what we're doing. And then there's what we're really doing, because we care about Christmas and we care about the holidays and we care about, what we're doing as Coca-Cola on the brand side. That to me would make more sense. It doesn't make any sense to me to sort of virtue signal that you're leaning into efficiency by doing something that you've
I don't think
last 100 years.
I don't think that's the case. I think the folks, all the review teams and the surveys they did and the rooms filled with people that reviewed this, most of them probably liked it.
Yeah.
But there's some critics out there that think it's just, oh my God.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see.
There we go. Well, speaking of animation, let's very quickly, just very quickly before we get to winners and losers here, let's cover the fact that Disney is doubling down on live events. This is also from the Hollywood Reporter, interestingly enough. The article is, Disney's going to increase content spending by $1 billion next year, which basically doesn't sound like a very powerful headline, because they spent $24 billion in content in 2025. And basically are going to spend $1 billion more in the coming year. And so the interesting thing to me in this is, and love to get your take since it's about events, is that if you read through this, it's almost exclusively that increase in billions that they're going to spend is in live events, Formula One,
sports.
UFC, ESPN events, et cetera, et cetera. And so basically it seems like they're doubling down on Disney Plus and live events. And did you have a different take or
No, I think that's exactly it. I think that's a little hidden secret where you're seeing the investment and those bigger productions for their, Disney Plus or Hulu, whatever that ends up being, both of that is probably going down, and they're taking whatever they can to wrap up things around football and college football and game day and UFC and all those types of things where, let's face it, they've got a moat. They've got a competitive advantage. If they have the licensing rights to do that, they're going to leverage every little bit out of that. And then also goes into this, they mentioned it briefly here, but the separate conversation about saying, we are going to invest more in our cruise line.
Yeah, that's
Again, big
experience.
Moat.
Yep.
Big
experiential.
moat. In-person experiences. And I'm going to talk a little bit later about Netflix in that. I think it's smart. I think, especially if we believe anything about a bubble happening, which AI content is, I think it's included in AI when all this stuff happens.
Yeah, of course.
Anything that you can separate yourself. I think Disney World, the Disney park system, the cruises, and then anything around the live events are, that's where they should be spending most of their time.
Yeah,
and I think
100%.
that's what they're doing.
100%. Yeah. Okay, let's get to our winners and losers, where Joe and I pick a winner from the last week of marketing and a loser, or I should say a loser from the last week of marketing. And let's see, would you like to go first, or shall I go first?
I'll go first. I just thought that really, really quickly, I thought that this was interesting. I'll put this up. Netflix House. So this has happened. This is a launch in Philadelphia. They launched Netflix House, which takes their IP in things like One Piece and the K-pop Demon Hunters, which we just talked about a couple shows ago. And they're building in-person experience. Just what we talked about. The same thing that Disney's doing. It looks initially like a loyalty play, because as we all know, and we've talked about probably for 10 years, if you get somebody to engage with your content digitally, but then they also do it in person, it takes their loyalty to an entirely new level. So the more Netflix can do that and create real fans and real fandom into these different pieces of IP that they have, that's amazing. But I also think that it might be long-term a diversification play, because they do drive revenue from these things. It is a very different business model, as Disney will attest to. But if they're ultimately trying, if they're ultimately trying to take out Disney, which I think Netflix can, or be the main competitor, I think that you could see in the future a Netflix cruise.
Yeah.
Of some, that kind of experience. They're starting with the Netflix House, and we've seen Lego do this, we've seen Apple do this, we've seen a lot of other companies do this really well. NBC Universal has done this really well.
Oh, you knew they were going down this road.
But they've done it. I actually would love to go and check it out. Maybe we should do a show in Philadelphia and check it out. I don't know.
Yeah,
drunk show at Netflix House.
In Netflix House, I like it. I think that's great. Maybe they would put us on one of their podcasts. They would make us one of their shows. We'd be a good Netflix show. We'd be a Netflix show. Yeah, they should. Yeah, we're Hey, look, it could be hey, welcome to This Old Marketing, proudly brought to you by the Netflix House, right?
The audio destination.
For K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yeah, exactly. All right. What do you have?
Okay, well, so I have a loser, I guess. Although it was a total learning moment for me, like today I learned sort of thing. So I saw this news item hit my feed, which said the Farmer's Almanac is saying goodbye, and basically going out of business. They've been publishing since 1818. And doing, of course, all the things that the Farmer's Almanac is known for doing, weather forecasting and all the great things for farmers. And speaking of all things, and I was like, my first reaction was, damn, why isn't a brand coming in and buying the Farmer's Almanac and turning it into a content marketing property? Like, why are they letting this go away, right? Why didn't they sell it to somebody and have it do something? And then I learned, I can't believe it's 2025 and I didn't know this.
Okay.
And there are actually two Farmer's Almanacs. There's the old Farmer's Almanac, which is the one you think of, like when the one you think of when you hear about the weather reports and the accuracy and how they're uncannily accurate every year and all that, that has published since 1792, the Old Farmer's Almanac, and can be distinguished because it's got a yellow cover. And so it says the Old Farmer's Almanac every year, and they continue to go strong. They're continuing to go strong. And in fact, they had to release a thing saying, hey, we're continuing. We're still around, basically, because of the confusion between the two. The Farmer's Almanac, which is published out of Maine, I think, is been publishing since 1818. Same thing, basically. It was a copy. It was basically a copycat of the Old Farmer's Almanac, and they're the ones that are going out of business. So then when I learned that, I was like, wow, that's fascinating. I never even knew that there were two of them. Then my attention went, well, why isn't the Old Farmer's Almanac just taking over the brand? Like, just why don't they just take it over? And I guess the answer could be because they don't need to. Right now, they're the only Farmer's Almanac out there. So there's, basically your only competition is gone now. So there's that. But I got to figure that there's something, there's something going on, right? Obviously, because I don't know how the Old Farmer's Almanac is doing. And it just strikes me that there's something that could be done here or should be done here that isn't getting done here. And in all the times that we talk about content marketing and brands doing this and looking at this. And so, it makes me go, hey, is the Old Farmer's Almanac doing okay? Like, are they going to be all right in this new world? And hopefully they will be, because it's just an amazing content brand, and it's an amazing thing that's been around for 200 years. So it's a very, very interesting thing to me. But I think ultimately I'm just saying it's a loser because it's gone, right? It's now we've now lost something that was really great.
I can't believe you found that little tidbit.
I only found it because I'm like, I only found it because I'm like, I'm looking up research articles about it. And then I see this announcement from the Old Farmer's Almanac saying, hey, by the way, we're still around. And I'm like, are there two? And yes, there's two, one out of Massachusetts, and I think the other one's out of Maine. So yeah, there you go.
Something's afoot.
There you go.
Farmer's Almanac industry.
In the word, exactly. All right, let's get to our rants and raves, where Joe and I go off on a little bit of a rant or a little bit of a rave over something that makes us feel like, well, basically we got a McRib in our stomach, or that we don't have a McRib in our stomach.
Get in my belly.
Get in my belly. Oh man.
Great movie. Awesome.
Let me go first because I want you to finish with Jesus Chatbot. Let me go first. Mine's very quickly here. So what we'll link in the show notes is a blog post from Microsoft. And it's basically it's bridging the AI divide, how frontier firms are transforming its thought leadership, quote unquote. And it's basically talking through how forward-leaning firms are using technologies. Look, it's a content marketing piece, and I get it. I get that it's a content marketing piece, and I get why they would actually do such a thing. My problem with it is that it's just not good information, right? I'm so kind of tired of the sort of overhyping of how all of these quote unquote AI using agents to transform business or taking over, and the forward leaning companies are doing this. And if you go through the blog, you can immediately see through the bullshit, where they're talking about high level brands that of course are Microsoft customers that are getting the best out of agentic AI and transforming their business. And they're the leading businesses out there. And it's just all so much like, bleh, like just all this narrative stuff. And it's not actually true thought leadership. And so it's just bad content marketing in my mind. And so I just wanted to rant a little bit about it.
There's no, what we call, there's no tilt. There's no differentiation.
No, it's just basically
it's regurgitation of numbers.
It's just sales material being regurgitated as thought leadership. And it's just, it's 2025. And I thought we were done with all of that, but we're not.
We're never going to be done with that.
No, I know.
There will always be those select few.
Yeah,
that we're going to make fun of on this show.
Yeah. All right. Tell me about Jesus Chatbot.
Mine's interesting.
Yours is more fun.
I'll put the article in the show notes from Axios. It's titled. It got my attention right away. Meet Chatbot Jesus. Churches tap AI to save souls and time, which is more. What's more important?
Is Chatbot Jesus cross with you? Sorry, I can't resist.
You're gonna break me. You gotta break me. I did. So, anyways, let me talk a little bit about this. So basically, the whole idea here is that the churches are using AI. A lot of priests and ministers are using it for sermon prep.
Yeah.
But also there's this, what's more interesting to me is this whole Chatbot Jesus thing, where they're creating these AI apps where you could talk to Jesus or the Bible.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have a particular take on this. I don't really know what to think, but with these AI powered faith apps, if you will, does that mean that your Jesus is going to be a little bit different than other Jesuses because it's going to kind of fit the mode of who you are because it's based on your own algorithm? And then do you want Chatbot Jesus to sort of guide you spiritually?
Sure.
Does that mean that we're ultimately letting like an algorithm shape our spiritual beliefs? I'm just asking questions. I think there's a lot of things, like we've talked a lot about where people are falling in love and they're marrying their ChatGPT or their whatever, which is going to be a thing.
Yeah.
People are going to have relationships with their AI and they're going to get married to them, and it's going to get really freaky.
Yeah.
But also on the church side, there's a lot. So when you have a church that's putting out these AIs, do they know the repercussions and do the pros outweigh the cons? I think it's the same thing for a business. I mean, they are a business.
Sure.
I think it's the same thing we're all dealing with. It's just we're not talking about such heavy information as we're trying to save your soul here. This is important. I don't know. It's I'm perplexed.
No, it's a great question. I mean, it brings into the whole AI companion thing. It brings into, the AI, the developing relationships with AI and how, there's a whole, topic about that we could certainly go into. I mean, here's the one thing that's for sure. When you talk to Chatbot Jesus, the first thing is any prompt, Chatbot Jesus is going to come back with, "My son, that's a sharp take. You really are a genius for thinking about this. Would you like me to print out a one sheet using Canva to do that?"
That's my boy.
That's my boy.
That's my boy. You did a good job on that one. I'm glad I gave you free will.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
I made a good decision in making you. I made a good decision in creating you, sport.
That's right.
I'm sorry. Don't take any of this.
We're turning water into
not making
wine.
fun of your religion. We're just making fun of Jesus, Chatbot Jesus.
I don't know. We're doing a little bit of the latter too. Okay. Right.
Anyways.
Yeah. Anyway, so what do you got? What do you got? You got a Browns game coming up.
Oh yeah, Browns Ravens.
Yeah, it's going to be a big one.
My prediction for the game is
pain.
So that and next week I'll be at Marketing Profs B2B Forum.
That's right. I just did a keynote for their Marketing Writers Boot Camp online, and I was chatting with Ann, and I was expressing my disappointment that I wasn't there or won't be there. So you're going to have a great time. I know you're going to.
We'll pitch. We talked about this. We need to pitch a joint session next week.
Yeah, that's fun. I actually had a dream about us doing exactly that I'll tell you offline. I actually had
this is getting weird.
I had a dream. I had a dream about us doing a show, and I have to tell you about this dream that I had us doing a show, which would be awesome. Yeah.
Okay. But anyways, I'm doing one of the closing keynotes, little TEDx type talk.
Burn the playbook.
I'm looking on Burn the Playbook. Yep. Why safe is the new risky.
Ooh.
You don't be safe.
There you go.
Wear your marketing prophylactic.
Talk to Chatbot Jesus.
What do you got going on?
I got nothing. I have a relaxing weekend. My travel really was filled up my week full of other client stuff. So I actually am all caught up. So the weekend it's going to be rainy here. So I won't be getting out and touching much grass, but it'll be, I'm going to cook. I'm going to have doing some cooking this weekend. So I'm looking forward to that.
Until next week.
There we go. All right. Hey, and next week, I should let you all know, we've got a special episode coming up, and we're going to talk about AI. Yeah, right. Like we don't ever talk about AI on the show, but we're actually going to have a special sort of take of the end of the year AI. Where are we? What are we doing in marketing with AI? So we're also, we're kind of putting on our our Marketing AI Institute hats for a little bit, and I'll play Paul Reitzer, and Joe will play Mike Kaput, and we'll basically talk about marketing and AI and where we think the state of it is. So I hope you will tune in for that. And until we see you next week, remember, it is your story to tell. Tell it well. We'll see you next week on This Old Marketing. Hey, thanks a lot for making it this far in this week's episode, and thank you all for being a part of This Old Marketing. You can check out all the show notes of what we talked about today at thisoldmarketing.com, and it's also where you can leave us a review or a voicemail. We need those reviews and comments on whichever platform you follow us on. And if you haven't followed the podcast, please go do that and make sure you catch the latest and greatest episodes every Friday morning. We're on Apple and Spotify and all your other favorite podcatchers, of course, but we'd love it if you went over and subscribed to us on YouTube. That's right, YouTube. youtube.com/@thisoldmarketing. We'll see you again next week, folks, with another episode of This Old Marketing.